Hello everyone and welcome back to the third season of Color Spotlight. For those of you who are finding my channel for the first time or haven't come across this series before, Color Spotlight is where I explore various watercolor pigments, how they interact with other colors, and demonstrate using them in a painting. Today we are going to be taking a look at a very unique pigment that's lesser known than most of the others that we've discussed in this series, Potter's Pink. PR233 was one of the first modern pigments. It was created by an unknown English potter around 1780 according to naturalpigments.com, and Winsor & Newton was the first company to introduce it as a watercolor in the 19th century. It was called pink color. It is a highly granulating, desaturated pink that comes in a color range between a lighter, cleaner looking version as well as a darker, duskier version. It is primarily transparent unless used in high concentrations. It's also non-staining and non-toxic. It has a weak tinting strength in mixes, which most people often regard as a reason not to include it on a palette. However, Potter's Pink's strength is not in its intensity, but rather its granulation. Artist Liz Steele, who uses this color often, notes that it's a great color for muting other colors while adding granulation, and for use in things such as Italian architecture, Scottish greenery, brick red buildings, and skin tones. Jane Blundell notes that it would be a good rose madder hue when mixed with a brighter pink. As a lesser common pigment and one that I haven't extensively used in the past, I only have a couple swatches of Potter's Pink to look at today. However, I will also show you some other granulating pinks and purples for comparison. First up, we're going to be taking a look at Winsor & Newton's lighter version of this paint. As the original creators of the watercolor version, I'll assume that they have a pretty good handle on what they're doing here. The color is a beautiful soft rose that glazes surprisingly well for being a heavily granulating color. I can't remember where I got this swatch from, but I'm assuming it was a dot card that a viewer sent, as I don't have it as a half pan. Given as such, I don't know at this point how easy or difficult it was to re-wet, but this is a very lovely hue that may make it worth it regardless. Next up is Schmincke, who has the darker, duskier version of this pigment. The granulation is more pronounced, the hue is substantially less saturated, but the paint overall is extremely pigmented and very easy to re-wet. This will be the first Schmincke pan that I actually run out of on my dedicated Schmincke palette, though it's probably likely due to its low tinting strength rather than an abundant use of it in my pieces. Finally, we have Rublev. I do want to say that I only have the swatch card for this color that was sent to me by a viewer, thank you Ari, so I don't have a personal account for how this handles or re-wets. From what I can tell from the swatch alone, this version is highly pigmented, and the only version that I have seen that is semi-opaque for that reason. It doesn't seem to soften off as gracefully as the other two swatches do. The other swatches I have to show you are Daniel Smith's Rhodonite Genuine, Winsor & Newton's Rose Madder Genuine, Nila Kalori's Cochineal Magenta Genuine, Da Vinci's Manganese Violet, and M. Graham's Ultramarine Pink. I hope that these swatches show you the similarities and differences across these various pigments, and for the latter two in particular, show you how Potter's Pink differs from more commercially available pigments. To select colors for this portion of the video, I intentionally didn't want to look at the other research materials while making my choices. I just went through a wide variety of colors that I had available and narrowed it down to some of my favorites, though it was hard to pick. When doing research afterwards, I was pleasantly surprised to see that I chose several colors that were not on other popular blog sites already, which will give you a wider range of samples to view while making your own paint selections. I'll link Liz Steele, Jane Blundell, Sade from Sadie Saves the Day, and a few others below for more information. First up, we have our yellow for the day. We could have chosen any number of colors here, from a lemon yellow to a yellow ochre, but I decided on an equally soft yellow to match Potter's Pink's low intensity. Rutile yellow is made from PY53, and this combination provides us with a dusky, granulating peach that I think would work really well for older style buildings like those found throughout Europe. I do also want to add an extra note here that my swatching style for the Color Spotlight video series doesn't really do a lot of these color mixes really good justice. The granulation that this color provides, this color being Potter's Pink, is really most impressive when you can see it on larger areas, painted out in all of their textural glory. So do make sure to take an extra good look at the swatch page following these demonstrations or the high resolution scan over on Patreon. Next up, we have a pretty crazy option when you consider that it was me in particular putting together this list. Looking at my flaming orange pan of Saturn Red made from PR233, I thought to myself, that would look pretty wild. The granulation in this pairing appears almost purple, and I like it best when both colors have kind of an equal say in the mix. I have no idea what I'd actually use this color combination for, but it was too cool not to share with you, and I'd love to hear what you guys think it would be good for. Here we have a more practical option with Venetian Red made from PR101. This opaque earth red pairs well with the Potter's Pink to make a warmer version of a color that is akin to a violet iron oxide or caput mortem. It tints out beautifully, and I love the entire range from one end to the other, and I think it would be really perfect to create a variety of individual bricks within an entire brick wall painting. Next, we have Perylene Violet made from PV29. I loved this single swatch when I was mixing all the different colors to decide what to include in this video, but it's particularly pertinent to note that Perylene Violet is actually quite similar in hue to Potter's Pink, only Potter's Pink is lighter with more granulation. This made it really difficult to show you a wide range of overall colors, but I think those first few swatches with just a touch of the Perylene Violet while retaining the granulation from the Potter's Pink is where this combination really sings. I think it would be really great when used for a vibrant warm shadow in a predominantly yellow painting. This combination with Helio Turquoise, or what we normally call Phthalo Turquoise, made from PP16, is probably my favorite pairing on the page. Combining the heavy granulation with the smoothness of a phthalo color made for some seriously stunning, well, we can't even really call them violets or purples. They're distinctly pink and blue at the same time. I'm dying to use this color combination for perhaps a fantasy creature like a dragon or even an octopus. Finally, I wanted to show you a green, and I had several options to choose from. I really loved the pairing with Perylene Green, but when do I not love a pairing with Perylene Green? But I also like the options for a sap or olive green, which ended up mimicking something similar to Daniel Smith's Serpentine Genuine. For some reason though, I decided just to split the difference entirely and went with a PG7 Phthalo Green Blue shade. At the end of the day, I still think I prefer the sap green mixture, which as it would turn out is over on Liz Steele's blog post, which I've linked in the description, so that you can still see what this combination looks like. And you can take this version that you're seeing on the video and just imagine it darker for the combination with Perylene Green. This is another pairing that I think would be really fun for another underwater creature or perhaps some reptilian skin. To finish off the page, we have our application techniques. Potter's Pink disperses like a dream, but it doesn't travel very far due to its low intensity, which seems to disappear in the water. It glazes very well for being a granulating color, and it also lifts incredibly well too. It softens off very easily, and due to how pale it gets, it's easier to control than some of the other stronger colors that we've looked at in this series. As I mentioned before, I'd have loved to paint a dragon or an octopus or an underwater mythological creature while pairing the Potter's Pink with one of those phthalo colors. I actually spent quite a long time trying to plan out one for this video. Potter's Pink is often used for warm tone paintings, and I really wanted to be able to show you the other polar opposite of that. However, at the end of the day, literally at the end of the particular day that I was filming this, I was just not in the right headspace for that type of painting, and it was getting really stressed out by the entire process. I'm still going through a lot of emotional things from just the state of the world and my life in general, so I decided to save that project for when the timing felt right and was just more natural feeling for me, rather than to push through it for the sake of a video. What I ended up doing instead was a complete 180, and I decided just to paint a little piglet. While completely unoriginal and incredibly expected for this color, another unique point that I wanted to highlight about this pigment is that you can in fact use it straight from the pan with almost no mixing if that's what you want to do. Plus, I've never painted a pig despite wanting to, so it seemed like as good of an excuse as any. Potter's Pink was used in varying concentrations for the majority of the base of the pig's coat at the beginning of the painting. I'll end up building my values with a mixture of Potter's Pink and Perylene Violet, and I'll even add some color contrast with a mixture of the Potter's Pink and Helio Turquoise for some extra fun. I'll finish off the painting and add some details with a darker color mixed from the Perylene Violet and neutral tint. Once again, just like the color mixing, this is all using my Schmincke watercolors. I did forget to hit record for the last few adjustments at the very end of this painting process, but most of it will be here laid out for you to watch, and I'll see you in just a little bit at the end of the video for a recap. Now I have to admit that this painting didn't turn out quite as whimsy as my little sketch had implied it might be, but that is often the case between my quick little thumbnail sketches and a finished piece that I'm trying to work on. Even though it's not quite what I was hoping for, I hope that you enjoyed seeing the entire process as well as this look into Potter's Pink. Don't forget that you can find the high-resolution scans of the swatching pages over on my Patreon. I do hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Color Spotlight series, and thank you so much for your patience as I got back on my feet after the ridiculousness that was the first half of 2020. Don't forget to let us know in the comments below if you enjoy using this color, and if so, what your favorite mixing combinations are and how you like to use it. As always, a special thanks to my incredible patrons for all of their support and for making this series possible, and thanks to all of you for liking, watching, and commenting. If you'd like to see more videos in this series as well as other watercolor content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and until next time, my friends, happy painting.